All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we are going to crack the code on one of the biggest buzzwords in all of business, customer experience. I mean, you hear it everywhere, right? But what does it actually mean? And why is every single company, from Amazon all the way down to your local coffee shop, so obsessed with it? Well, let's find out. So, at its core, customer experience, or CX as you'll often hear it called, it's not just about, customer service. It's everything. It's the ad you saw on your phone, the packaging the product came in, how easy it was to use, that feeling you get when you walk into a store. This definition from way back in 2007 really nails it. It's the total internal and subjective response you have to a company. It's all about how they make you feel. And, getting that total experience right, it's not just some small thing on a to-do list. In fact, according to a huge study by Accenture, it's now the #1 priority for top executives. Think about that. Not cutting costs, not even product innovation, improving the experience. That tells you everything you need to know about how important this has become. And there's a good reason for that. This whole area has pretty much become the new battlefield for business. It used to be that companies would just compete on price, right? Or maybe who had the most features. But today, the real giants, like Amazon and Google, they're competing on the quality of the experience they deliver.
I mean, think about it for a second. There was a time when buying something was, simple. You'd see an ad, you'd get interested, you'd want the product, and then you'd go buy it. A nice, clean, straight line. Yeah, that world is long, long gone.
Because today, we live in this world of what we call touchpoints. The path to buying something isn't a straight line anymore. No way. It's way more like a messy, chaotic spiderweb of interactions, and they're happening across dozens of different channels, both online and in the real world. And this new landscape, it can get pretty chaotic. Businesses have to deal with countless touch points. That's any interaction, from their own website to a post on social media, to a review from a friend. The media we consume is totally fragmented. Social media has this massive influence, and frankly, companies just have way less control than they used to. And then you got these totally new behaviors popping up, like showrooming, where you go check out a product in a physical store, but then you pull out your phone and buy it cheaper online. So that leads to the big question, right? How in the world can a business possibly get a handle on all this chaos? If you can't control every little interaction, how can you even hope to create a consistently good experience? Well, the answer is they map it. You can't necessarily control all the chaos, but you can definitely understand it. And the main tool for that is something called the Customer Journey Map. It's basically a framework for seeing the entire experience, but from the customer's point of view. Okay, so let's dig into a more official definition here. And what's so powerful about this one is how it breaks the experience down into all these different layers. It's cognitive, what you're thinking. It's emotional, how you're feeling. Behavioral, what you actually do. Sensorial, what you see, hear, and touch. And even social, what your friends and peers are saying. It really is the total response. So this whole journey map, it's usually broken down into 3 main stages. First up, there's the pre-purchase stage. This is everything that happens before you buy, when you first realize you have a need and you start searching for options. Then you have the purchase stage. That's the moment of truth, choosing, ordering, and paying. And finally, you have post-purchase. This is everything that happens after, how you use the product, and whether you engage with that company ever again. And here's where it gets really interesting. Within each of those stages, you've got these 4 different types of touchpoints. Some are brand-owned, things the company controls completely, like its own website or its ads. Some are partner-owned, like a display in a retail store that's run by a partner. But it's these last 2 where things get really tricky for companies. You've got customer-owned touchpoints, things the customer actually controls, like their own needs or how they decide to use a product. And then there are the social or external ones, like peer reviews or posts on social media, which the company has almost zero direct control over.
Now, it's easy to think that this is all, a super recent thing, something born out of the internet age. But the truth is, this intense focus on experience has actually been evolving for a very, very long time.
So yeah, let's just take a quick detour into the history here, because how we think about the customer journey, it didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It's been building for decades. So if you go way back to the 60s, marketers were just focused on these really simple process models of buying. Then in the 80s, service quality became the big thing. Fast forward to the 90s, and we started talking about relationship marketing,
bringing things like trust and emotion into the mix. The 2000s, of course, were all about data and CRM, customer relationship management. And then in the 2010s, we finally arrived at customer engagement, this idea that customers are active partners in creating their own experience. Each decade, you see, it added another critical layer to the puzzle.
Okay, so that brings us right back to the million-dollar question. We get the map, we get the different touch points, but how does a company actually put all these pieces together to manage the entire journey, from start to finish?
Well, to answer that, let's look at a company that is an absolute master of this stuff, Disney. And they actually made a billion-dollar bet on getting this right.
So, Disney knew it had a problem. They called it friction in the park experience. And you know the feeling, waiting in those super long lines, fumbling around for your park tickets, then your hotel key, then your credit card, all these little annoyances. They add up, and they can break the magic.
And their solution was brilliant. The Magic Band. It's just a single wristband that acts as your park ticket, your hotel room key, your credit card, and your reservation system. It takes dozens of different clunky touch points and just weaves them all together into one simple, seamless tool. And the result of this? For the customer, it's a totally frictionless, almost magical journey. But here's the really genius part, what it does for Disney. With all the data from those bands, they can optimize everything in real time. They know where the crowds are, which rides need attention, and where to position food carts. It creates happier customers, and that in turn fuels a smarter, more efficient business.
Okay, so we've mapped the journey, we've looked at all the touch points, we've even seen how Disney pulls it off. So what's the big takeaway here? What does this all mean for us?
Well, here's what it all boils down to. First, companies aren't just selling you a product anymore. They're staging an experience. Second, the journey you take to get that product is now just as important as the product itself. The key to winning is understanding and managing all those touch points. And maybe most importantly, the really great experiences, the ones that feel effortless and magical, they are never an accident. They are designed down to the very last detail.
And all of this leaves us with one last, really fascinating question for the future. One that researchers are thinking about right now, and one that affects every single one of us as a customer.
Seriously, think about this for a second. When you experience something incredible and seamless from a company like Disney or Apple, does that change what you expect from every other company? Does it make you less patient with your bank's clunky website or a confusing online checkout? The research seems to point to yes. These amazing experiences are creating a spillover effect. They're raising our expectations for absolutely everyone. And that right there is both the challenge and the massive opportunity of this new experience economy.